Hey everyone, I'm the Miniac. Today is a Q&A video, and what is with this noise? Can we get this any lower?
No.
No? Alright, well, it's an air conditioner. It's hotter than heck outside, so we gotta deal with it. Anyway, today we have lots of questions. I posted on Facebook asking for your questions, and boy, did you all have a lot of questions. So I'll try to answer them all in this video. If I don't answer your question, or if I don't know the answer to your question, I'll try to find it and get back to you later. But here we go. Alright, so I have all the questions written down here so I can ask them, or I should say answer them. And we're going to get started. So some of these are from people that I asked on Facebook. Some of them are from friends of mine in the local Mini Club. So the first question I have is, what is the rarest Mini out there? That would have to be the GP. The GP1, which came out in 2006, and the GP2, which came out in 2013. Those are the rarest ones out there usually. They are just one of the best Minis you could possibly have if you can find one. I know one recently had like 14 miles on it, sold on Bring a Trailer for, I think it was $36,000. That's just insane. But that was 6,000 over. No, that wasn't 6,000 over. That was about 4,000 or 5,000 over what he originally paid for it. So pretty impressive. What is my next question here? What videos do I have coming up? Well, if I told you that, then my competition might be able to do those videos instead of me. But I do have some videos coming up with the convertibles, the Countrymans, and the Clubmen. So those are going to be pretty cool. I'm working on coordinating that with the owners of those cars as well. I also have some parts install videos coming up, but those cost money, and I don't have money, so we'll have to wait on those. One of my friends has asked me if I'm going to do Mini Takes the States this year. Well, I've never done Mini Takes the States, so I'm thinking about it. I might do it. It really just depends on job prospects this year. I have something coming up. Maybe I'll get the job, maybe I won't. I don't know for sure. If I get the job, I'm probably not going to do Mini Takes the States, but if I don't get it, I might do it, at least the last leg of it, which would basically be me driving from the KC area to Keystone, Colorado. So there's a possibility. Another friend asked me if I'm going to do a video of a classic Mini. I do have an idea for one coming up where I could compare the size of the classic and the modern Mini. I haven't gone into much detail on that yet. I do know some people who have classic Minis who would let me use them for this video. So there's one coming down the road. Another person asked me, which is the best generation of the Mini? That's a tricky question because some people like the R53, the first gen, some people like the R56, the second gen, and there are those out there who are big proponents of the F56 generation. So it's really a matter of preference. If you like them, if you like that particular generation, then drive that. The best generation for me, I can't really answer that. I like them all. I like the R53, I like the R56, and I like the F56. So I'm the wrong person to ask what generation of Mini I like. Do I wave at other Minis? Yes. Yes, I do. And another person has asked me, why do others not wave back? I don't think they got the memo. But the rule of thumb is, if you are driving a Mini and you see another Mini, you're supposed to wave at them. Or at least give them the peace sign. Give them the peace sign, not this. Sir, some of you out there, you know what this means, and I apologize if I just did it. But no, you do this sign or you wave. What is new coming out of Mini? Well, the engine updates and transmission updates are coming up later this year. That's about it as far as I know. I know the electric Mini is coming out next year, so that'll be an interesting one to see. I don't know if I'll be able to test drive that one, so I don't think I'll be able to give you a review of that car. So I apologize on that. Another person has asked me on numerous occasions, do I really hate other cars? And I've had one friend who thinks I hate BMWs specifically. I do not hate other cars. apart from the Toyota Prius, but that's another story. It really depends on the car. Every brand has a particular vehicle that I find interesting. It just happens to be that I own a Mini and I really, really like that car. But I mean, BMW has some fantastic cars, Mercedes has fantastic cars, Porsche has some beautiful cars. So I don't hate other cars, I just really, really like Minis. A friend of mine recently asked, why does the driver's side reverse light on his Mini Clubman not work? Because he tried to change the bulb and it didn't work, and he's not sure why. Well, the R55 Mini Clubman does not have a driver's side reverse light. You heard it correctly. It only has a passenger side reverse light, unless of course you're in England and then they flip it. So then the reverse light's on the passenger side, and well, it's always on the passenger side regardless of whether you're in England or in the US. But the other light is actually a rear fog light. Now, if you don't have the switch for it, you can't use the rear fog light. I've had a Mini Clubman that had a rear fog light and it had the switch and all that great stuff. My current Mini Clubman does not have a rear fog light. It has the bulb in there, but no wiring going to it. Okay, I'm gonna have to read this one because this was an odd question. Someone named Alan asked me, do the modifications of the N18 valve cover ventilation negate the need or benefit of an oil catch can compared to the N14? Now, for those of you who don't know what an N14 or N18 is, those are the two different generations of turbo engine in the R56 generation of car, the second generation of the Mini. The N14 had quite a few problems. The N18 didn't have as many problems. There are benefits to having an oil catch can on both generations. Doesn't matter really which engine it is. On the N18 engine, you don't need it as much as you did on the N14s. They also don't have the carbon buildup issues that the N14s had, so they made some changes. So it's kind of it kind of can or it kind of can't help. I don't know much about this modification thing either. I have to do some research on it, so this is a new thing to me. But I hope that answered your question, and if it didn't, I'm sorry. I will try to find more information later. Timothy from Instagram asked me, what's your favorite memory with your Mini? Well, that would be the first Mini I ever owned, and that was getting into it and getting on the highway, and the minute it accelerated and hearing the supercharger wind up, that was just the coolest thing I had ever experienced. And after that, I was kind of just hooked on Minis. I was not going to be driving anything else after that. Granted, my current Minis are turbocharged. I do miss the supercharger, but that was my first and probably best memory with a Mini. But I think all of my Minis have had some good memories apart from my wrecked one, but even it had good memories actually up until the accident. But there's really no particular favorite that I have. I have great memories in all of my cars. I've met some good friends through owning a Mini, so those could be good memories with that car. Okay, I'm going to have to read the rest of these questions. They're a little long, but Nathan asked me, what is a cheaper alternative to a full exhaust or catback that would give off more sound without droning or throwing a check engine light? Well, I asked a service advisor at the local dealership, and he said a Muffler Delete will do that. So if you want sound but you don't want the check engine light, just delete the muffler. Now, if you don't want to do that, then get an aftermarket exhaust. I'm thinking of doing a Muffler Delete myself, but I'm not sure. I actually have, the R55 Clubman that is, has two mufflers, so I could delete one muffler and just leave the other, but I haven't quite figured that out yet. Naturally, if you're not too concerned about local laws, don't worry about it, but if you are, check your local laws to find out if it's legal to take the muffler off the car, because sometimes it isn't, and I don't want to see any of you get in trouble. Another person, Stacy here, asked, does driving with the JCW Pro Exhaust valve open all the time hurt the engine? The answer to that question is no, it does not. But it has been known to create a vibration under idle. So when your car's sitting idling, there's a vibration noise coming from the exhaust because the valve is open. So there are some people who have the Pro Exhaust who unplug the valve and just leave it open all the time, and there are people who just allow it to be opened and closed. So it doesn't hurt the engine to leave it open. Another person asked, this was also Stacy, asked, how are the 3rd gen minis doing with mushrooming strut towers, or has it been solved in this generation? The R56, the 2nd generation and the 3rd generation, have not had the issues with mushrooming strut towers that the R53s had. Now, for those of you looking at an R53 for the 1st generation Mini, the mushrooming strut tower thing is where you basically hit a pothole hard enough that it takes the strut and pushes it into the strut tower, causing the metal to push up. Now, Craven Speed and M7 make these things called strut tower defenders. They're plates that bolt on top of the strut tower and compress that metal back down, holding it in place and preventing it from mushrooming up. If you had to pick between the two, M7 or Craven Speed, I would go with the Craven Speed ones. It's a thicker metal and better construction, I think, and it'll just do a nice job of holding everything together and keeping your strut towers from mushrooming. The other thing you got to deal with the earlier ones was the failing strut mounts that resulted in hitting those bumps as well. So it really is just a matter of being careful, but the 2nd generation didn't have it nearly as often. Some did, and the 3rd generation, I have not seen a single one that has had a mushrooming strut tower, and I talked with a service advisor at the dealership and he said that he hasn't seen one either. John asked, why does Mini not like Android? Do they have an exclusive contract with Apple? Well, as some of you know, the newer Minis have Apple CarPlay, which is different from Android Auto. Now, the problem is, I don't think Mini actually has a way of implementing Android Auto. So it's not that they hate Android, but the vast majority of customers own Apple products. So Mini decided to make it easy for those customers to integrate their phones into the cars by offering Apple CarPlay. Now, if you don't want to use Apple CarPlay, you don't have to get it installed on the vehicle when you order it, and you can just use the Bluetooth that's on board the vehicle, or the aux inputs if they have it, or the USB ports or whatever, and it'll work just fine. You just don't get the touch screen for Apple CarPlay. Nicole asked, what are the pros and cons of turbo versus supercharger? Well, I asked a friend of mine who owns both, and he said the pros of a supercharger is it makes a better noise than the turbochargers do. But the turbochargers are boosted engines. They're both boosted engines, but with turbocharged cars, you really get all the power at a certain RPM range versus the supercharger ones where you hit the accelerator and the power's right there. You already have the power. So superchargers have power on demand, whereas turbochargers get their power as you go faster, basically. Tim asked, if I couldn't drive a Mini, what would I drive? And the answer to that is, I've thought about maybe a Ford Focus RS. Those would be interesting to have. But the other car that's caught my eye is the BMW M2 Competition. I think that would be an interesting vehicle to have. So if I couldn't drive a Mini, I might drive a BMW. He also asked me, what Mini do I have my eye on next? Well, it's probably going to be an F56 JCW. And I don't know when that'll happen. It might be 5 years from now, so you never know. Steve asked, is Mini changing the F56 front grille when they come out with the LCI? Well, Steve, they've already come out with the LCI and they didn't change the grille. So this generation is going to be a little odd. They might be doing a second LCI before the 4th generation Mini comes out, so maybe they'll change the grille then. If you don't like the grille on this car, you can change it. You can swap out the grills. You can actually put a JCW grille on the Cooper, and I think there's a company that makes a grille that will cover up that bumper beam as well, so you can make it look completely different. But they've already brought out the LCI and they didn't change the grille. Another person asked, how does an N18 require a timing chain replacement at 49,000 miles? Well, assuming you're not the original owner, it means that the previous owners didn't change the oil or check the oil regularly, and it starved the engine of oil, which caused the timing chain to fail. Now, if you check your oil regularly and top it off when it needs to be, you're not going to cause your timing chain won't fail. So they do occasionally fail with the N18. It's very rare. It's more common with the N14, but it's very rare on the N18. You're supposed to check your oil or change your oil really every 5,000 miles. That's what I recommend for the N18 and the N14. You're supposed to check your oil, though, every 800 to 1,500 miles just to make sure it's not low. And if it is low, add more oil in there. So don't let the engine get starved of oil or you will ruin your timing chain. are there any shortcuts to the Supercharger pulley install? Well, I am going to include an attachment in the description to go to Pelican Auto. It's a website, and I'm sure I got the name wrong, but there is a step-by-step article on how to install the Supercharger pulley. But basically, as far as I know, we had to, on my first one, we had to jack the engine up and hold it in place with a jack, unbolt the upper engine mount, and lift the engine up, and then we had to use a tensioner tool to remove the tension from the belt, to take the belt off. And then we had to use a pulley pulling tool to actually remove the original pulley on the car, because the original pulley is pressure fitted and the other ones are bolt on. So the article is down below in the description, so if you want to find that information, go for it. JF asked, why is my 4-year-old Mini already having engine misfire issues? Well, have you checked your spark plugs? That might be the problem. I would say coils, but it's a 4-year-old Mini, so that's highly unlikely. Even though there is an extended warranty on the coils, so it could be spark plugs more than likely. So take a look at those. That might be your problem. Well, another person asked me if I had any interesting stories to share with my new Mini. Well, it was in a music video recently, which was kind of cool, and it's probably going to be in another one. I have some video footage from that music video. I'm going to share it with you all next time. And it's pretty cool. I was pretty excited about that. The guy really liked my car and wanted it in the background of the dance scene in one of their videos. So the next video is gonna be kind of cool. I can't really reveal too much information about that because even I don't know that much information about it yet. But it's gonna be pretty cool, and I'm looking forward to sharing that information with you as well. Anyway, I hope I've answered all of your questions. If I haven't, please comment down below. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and as always, the journey continues. Happy motoring, and I'll see you next time.